Ranicar-Breese. She's co-presenter and co-director, is that right? At Brighton.
Co-presenter.
At Hove Community Radio. And she's author of Jilliana's Vignettes. And here she is.
Oh my God, the lights.
The lights. You okay?
Yeah, I don't use microphones, I hate them. Right, I chose the subject not seeing what the subject was meant to be, and it's very far from rambling. It's on my website, and it's called First Sexual Experience. I think it's rather fun to ask people what happened the first time. So anyway, I decided to write about it. I was 19 in 1963, had just left home and spurred on by my girlfriend Estelle Irving to join her in a large rented house with 2 other psychology students from Leeds in studenty Bedsit, Withington, Manchester. She introduced me to a young, attractive Iraqi Kurd from Baghdad called Khalid Asghar, head of the Manchester University Communist Party and in exile. Never had I met an Iraqi Kurd, nor, for that matter, ever since. Khalid was attractive, dark features with black wavy hair and liquid brown eyes, plus a winning, charming smile. About 26, he was gentle, polite, open and romantic. I had not come across foreign boys before, coming from the leafy suburbs of provincial Liverpool. We were platonic friends for a short while, as I was still a virgin. Jewish and Muslim? What an interesting combination. I had had a heavy petting experience when I was 16 with my then boyfriend, market trader, wide boy, Cliff Adlard. I remember my pink and red striped polypec dress that night, taking extra special care not to get telltale blood on it. The van, with ladders on top, was parked outside my parents' home in respectable middle-class Childwell. My father was not pleased that a large van was parked outside. What would the neighbours think and say? I had no education as to what sex was about, despite my mother being a chemist. I thought Cliff was having an epileptic fit when he came and asked if he was all right. This was an era when no sex education was given at home or at school. No books or discussions. How did one find out in the 50s and 60s, pre-pill? An era of necking and petting on the back row of the Odeon cinema, a parked car, or perhaps getting a telltale love bite to show your mates. The hard way was through trial and error. But back to Khalid. We were having supper in the university canteen when he looked at me in the eyes and touched my light brown cascading hair, whispering, "Tonight's the night." I nodded silently, knowing what he meant. Well, it was about time to discover what sex was about. I was 19 after all. He would, I thought, be my mentor. In silence, holding hands, we went to his tidy student room, already prepared to seduce me. Dim lighting and candles ready to be lit. I don't recall washing or undressing, just a low, creaky bed with him getting on top of me after a bit of kissing. Was it French kissing? I don't think so. Mouth to mouth, lips to lips, no erotic art in that. No foreplay, no caressing my trembling body. He just got on top of me and stuck it in. It was over in a flash, and I remember thinking, that's it? How boring! What's all the fuss about? I raced off afterwards, mumbling some excuse, so there was no intimate conversation or discussion about our experience. No questions asked like, was it good for you? No, it wasn't. I recall going home on the bus up the Palatine Road back to dreary Withington, convinced that the students sitting opposite me knew what I'd done. Silently on the screen of my mind I repeated, I'm not a virgin anymore. I immediately ditched poor Khaled and only saw him once a year later in Manchester after he'd moved away to Bedford working as a civil engineer. He said he remembered me because I was funny in bed. Anybody wants to share their first experience? Huh? I challenge anyone. Ooh, total silence. This is Brighton after all.
That was great. It was
What?
I meant to say actually, I forgot to say at the beginning, it's 5, to remind everyone it's 5 minutes on the mic time. That was perfect.
Oh, was it
Perfect
good timing?
Brilliant. Well done.
Okay, I've got to get off here.
But can you just call someone out of the...
Oh, yes.
Are you okay?
I can't see.